learn how our kidney concentrate the urine, right? Now let's for example someone is in dehydration. Now what happens in dehydration? Okay, so let's say someone is having dehydration. So dehydration means body has lost lots and lots of water. So it can be during heavy blood loss, or when a person is not drinking water, or he is in somewhere in the middle of the sea, he is not drinking water. So anyways, he is losing water. Okay, so when there is dehydration, what happens to the blood volume? What happens to the blood? So this is, okay, now this is blood, and these are the, in the blood, these are the solutes, which we call osmolarity. Okay, so plasma is there, so plasma, and the solutes. Okay, you can stop me anytime if you don't understand, right? So in the plasma, so let's say this is 100 ml of fluid, 100 ml of fluid. Okay, let's say this is 100 ml of fluid, into which I have given 10 solid particles. 10 solid particles. So we call it solutes. 10 solid particles. So this is what? This is called osmolarity. Okay, this is osmolarity. So the normal osmolarity of the blood is 300. To be precise, to be exact, is 298 milliosmoles per liter. Means 1 liter of blood, there is 298 solid particles like cells, electrolytes, whatever it is. Okay, so round figure is 300. Okay, just 298. Now when we dehydrate, what will happen? When you dehydrate, you are losing the fluid portion. Okay, so the solid particles, the concentration, when you measure the solid particles, we say the solid particles, the concentration has increased, means it has become highly concentrated. So highly concentrated means, in the terms we call it increased osmolarity. So any cases of dehydration, so whenever there is dehydration in the body, so what happens? What is increased? Increases osmolarity. Okay, that thing you need to remember. So whenever there is any dehydration due to any cause, the osmolarity in the body, it increase, means from 300 to 400, 400 to 500, it can increase, right? Because it will become highly concentrated, blood will become highly concentrated. Now our body has certain mechanisms that it does when there is any situation like dehydration, right? So whenever there is any situation like dehydration, so what is the type of urine that is to be produced? Urine that is to be produced during any features, or during when the dehydration sets in, the urine need to be very, very concentrated, because we can't afford any loss of fluid in the urine. Okay, so the solutes must be going out, because solutes are all the waste products that are like urea, uric acids, all the waste things, they must be released, but in a little volume of fluid, that we call as concentrated urine. So in any hot and humid climate, when you are not drinking water, or you are losing lot of water, your urine is become concentrated urine. Concentrated urine means the solids are the same, but the amount of fluid has decreased, because body has tried to conserve water. Okay, so it has produced concentrated urine. Now suppose we don't have any mechanism of concentrating the urine in time of dehydration, then what will happen? The body will go for severe and severe dehydration, right? Because it has not learned how to conserve water. So concentration of urine is very, very important it's an important tool of our body to conserve water. So whenever we go into any dehydration type of situation, hot and humid climate where the water is not available, immediately our urine volume is decreased. But the waste product, the solids products need to be same, because it is being produced. Now for example, okay, the normal urine output is 1.5 liter per day. Normal urine output is 1.5 liter, 1500 ml. So out of the 1500 ml, the 500 ml is we call as obligatory urine volume. 500 ml is called obligatory urine volume. Obligatory urine volume. So obligatory urine volume. So obligatory urine volume means the urine that will come out. Okay. Okay, please tell your friends to join from Unifiji account, okay? Otherwise disturb the class. So obligatory urine volume means the urine volume that will come out every day whether you drink water or not. Okay? So whether you drink water or not, or whether someone is in a state of dehydration, he will pass urine every day of 500 ml. Okay? Whether he drinks water or not, that is must. So that is called obligatory urine volume. It does not matter whether you are drinking water or not, whether he is in a dehydration, or whether in the middle of the sea he is not getting any water, but he will pass urine of 500 ml, because this 500 ml is necessary to remove all the waste products that is being produced every day from every cell and tissue. We need to remove that waste products. So to remove the waste products, our kidneys, they remove fluid of at least 500 ml every day. It does not depend whether you have drank water or not. So that is obligatory urine volume. Okay, it comes as 1 mark question. So how much is the obligatory urine volume? That is 500 ml, right? So what we are discussing here, that whenever any condition of losing water or dehydration situations, loss of blood comes, our urine automatically becomes concentrated. Okay, so how does it become concentrated? Means urine concentration means what? Concentration of urine is related to increased osmolarity. So whenever the plasma is osmolarity, the osmolarity in the plasma or plasma osmolarity increase more than 300, 298 normally. So let's make it round, 300. So whenever the plasma osmolarity is more than 300, what happens? Urine becomes concentrated, because it is trying to help the body to conserve water, right? Do you have any questions regarding this? Anyone? Okay, fine.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let's try to understand how our kidneys try to conserve water. Okay, let's try to understand. So we have 3 things in phenomenon. So how the body conserve the water. So first thing is that the role of ADH. Okay, first thing is role of ADH. This is antidiuretic hormone. Second is counter current mechanism, and third is role of urea. Okay, we will understand these 3 things. So concentration, when we say concentration of urine, it starts with 3 things again. Number 1 is ADH, number 2 is counter current, number 3 is role of urea in maintaining the metabolic gradient. Let's go one by one. Okay, first we go with ADH. So ADH means antidiuretic hormone. ADH means antidiuretic hormone. Antidiuretic hormone. It is a hormone. It is also called as vasopressin. Okay. Now let's understand this situation that okay, this is the okay. This is the okay. So I cannot draw better than this. So this is the human body, and where this is the nose begins, here. So here exactly. So if we divide into midpoint, where it's to find the midpoint from here, so there is a small gland here. We call it pituitary gland. Okay. So the pituitary gland has this gland, I am zooming it, it has 2 parts. One is called anterior pituitary gland, and this one is called posterior pituitary gland. Okay, so pituitary gland is located in our middle of this border, in the middle part, between the 2 cerebral hemisphere. Okay, so pituitary gland in the top, it is connected to hypothalamus. Okay, it is connected to hypothalamus. Pituitary, this is the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is the master endocrine gland that secretes plenty of hormones. We will discuss that in endocrinology. So this is the pituitary gland, which has an anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. Okay, so anterior lobe and a posterior lobe. So let's say this is the leave it. So the pituitary gland is anterior lobe and posterior lobe, and this top part is hypothalamus. Now this hypothalamus is very close to blood vessels. Now whenever you are dehydrated, what will increase? Increase osmolarity. Means the sodium and chloride present in the blood will become highly concentrated. That means increase osmolarity, right? So whenever there is dehydration or you are losing fluid, so the sodium, chloride, potassium, all these electrolytes will be highly concentrated in the blood. We call it increased osmolarity. So whenever this concentrated blood is passing through close to the hypothalamus has some receptors which are called osmoreceptors. Okay. So if you don't understand, you just let me know. Okay. So it is going to be very complicated afterwards. So osmoreceptors. So these osmoreceptors, they are receptors, as the name suggests, osmoreceptors. So whenever there is increased plasma osmolarity, these osmoreceptors, they can sense that the blood has become concentrated. Then what will do? Then this hypothalamus will secrete one hormone called ADH or vasopressin. Okay, just write it vasopressin. The hypothalamus will secrete a vasopressin hormone. This is a hormone. This hormone will come through. This hormone will be secreted into the posterior gland. It will be secreted into the posterior gland. From the posterior gland, it will be released into the surrounding blood vessels. It will be spilled into the blood vessels. So now the blood vessels have what? Hormone. Enough of. So whenever there is dehydration, our blood content, the vasopressin hormone in the blood is increased. So now our blood has lots and lots of vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone. Okay. Now let's go to the kidneys. So in the kidneys, this is the Bowman's capsule and proximal tubule. Okay. I hope you can see. Yeah, proximal tubule. Then loop of Henle. So descending limb of loop of Henle, ascending limb of loop of Henle. Then this part is distal tubule. Wait. So ascending here. So descending limb of loop of Henle, ascending limb of loop of Henle, then thick ascending limb of loop of Henle. Okay, these are the parts of nephron, and then we got the distal tubule, and then collecting duct. Okay, so this part is collecting duct. This part is distal tubule. Okay, so Bowman's capsule, proximal tubule, loop of Henle, descending limb, ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now when this vasopressin hormones is released in enough amount in the blood, so where it comes and influence the distal tubule and the collecting duct. Okay. Now what happens in distal tubule? Okay. So distal tubules. These are the cells lining the distal tubules. Okay. So towards the lumen, we call this border towards the lumen, which is called apical border, and towards the back, this back is called basal border. Okay. So I just take one cell, this particular cell out here. I just bring this particular cell here, out. Okay. So this part is called towards the lumen. Towards where the urine is going out, this fluid. So this part is apical border is touching the fluid, right? So this part is apical border. This part is called basal border. So in the basal border, there are some water channels. There are canals for water transport. These are called aquaporins. Okay. Now what happens? Here there are some receptors. So there are some receptors on the sides. They are called V2 receptors. So when this vasopressin hormone is released into the blood from the posterior pituitary gland, remember vasopressin hormone or antidiuretic hormone, it is synthesized in hypothalamus but secreted by posterior pituitary gland because it came through this tunnel and it deposited in posterior pituitary gland and then it spills out. So these vasopressin hormones, when it comes into the blood, so ultimately every blood flow, it will go through the kidney. Okay, it will come to the heart. From the heart, it will come to the kidney, and from the kidney, it will go inside all these arteries, arterioles, capillaries, and finally it will reach the nearby arteries, and this will attach to the V2 receptors. Where are these V2 receptors? These V2 receptors are of distal tubule and collecting duct, this portion. Okay, so this vasopressin will come and attach to the V2 receptors. So let's attach it. So now this is attached to vasopressin. So when this vasopressin is attached to the V2 receptors, what will happen? So there are already some aquaporin channels here. So immediately it will mobilize, it will push these aquaporin channels into the apical border. It will mobilize, it will push it. So all these aquaporin channels will be attached to the apical side, Remember, basal side already has the apical channels. So the aquaporin channels. Okay, what are aquaporin? They are the channels for the water transport. Alright, so once these aquaporin channels are fitted in the apical side, because basal side already has the aquaporin channels. So what will happen as the fluid pass from here, going out to, this is the final product, okay, urine. So more and more, as this aqua channel is fitted, more and more water is reabsorbed from the tubular fluid. More and more water is reabsorbed. Okay, so water is reabsorbed back from the tubular fluid. So where the water will go? It will go into the surrounding capillary, surrounding blood vessels. So more and more water is reabsorbed. So that's why we call this antidiuretic. Means whenever this vasopressin hormone or this ADH hormone is secreted, our urine becomes concentrated. Okay, because it makes, otherwise water is not absorbed from this part of the tubule. Okay, the water is not usually absorbed from this part of the tubule. This part of the tubule, water can be reabsorbed only when there is the presence of ADH in the blood. So whenever we are in a state of dehydration, the plasma osmolarity in the blood increase, which is sent by osmoreceptors. As a result, hypothalamus secretes this hormone called ADH or vasopressin, so which will come to the posterior pituitary gland and it will be secreted into the blood. Then it will go and circulate in the blood and attach to the V2 receptors in the distal tubules and collecting duct. As soon as it's attached to the V2 receptors, the these aquaporin channels that are lying inside this cell, they mobilized into the apical border, and as a result, water moves in through these channels. Water moves in, and then this side is already attached. Aquaporin channel is already present here. So water will first come inside the cell, then it is moved outside the cell, and then where it will go? It will go to the surrounding blood vessels. So water is reabsorbed. So what will happen when water will be reabsorbed? So the urine that will come will be now, because it has lost most of the fluid part, so urine will be very, very concentrated because water is being reabsorbed. Do you have any questions, or you want me to repeat some part, or it's okay, I can move ahead? Okay, thank you. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Switch on your mic, but you must understand, because from tomorrow we are going to discuss the diseases. Then I am not going to teach you these things. Alright, now ADH hormone. Alright, so this is the mechanism of action of vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone. So when it comes to the short note, you have to write this part, right? So now, next what happens? Suppose there is a condition, suppose there is any injury in the head and that pituitary gland, this part is injured. So this part is injured, suppose. The posterior pituitary gland is hurt, or there is some head injury or something happened. So clot, whatever. So as a result, what will happen? The body will have a deficiency state of ADH hormone. So in case of deficiency of ADH hormone or vasopressin, what will happen? The urine will be very, very diluted. There will be diluted urine. Because lots and lots of fluid will be lost. Okay? And instead of 1.5 liter, body can lose up to 20 liters of urine. It can produce up to 20 liters of urine. So you can imagine, if the ADH level goes down, our body produces lots and lots of diluted urine. But ultimately what happens? Ultimately body becomes dehydrated. And dehydration will lead to all the other complications like seizure, unconsciousness, whatever it is. Okay? So in any case, when the ADH goes down, urine will become diluted. Right? Now, what are the conditions that can increase ADH and what are the conditions that can decrease ADH? So let's first try to understand what are the conditions that can increase ADH. So any condition whenever there is plasma osmolarity is increased. So increased plasma osmolarity, like in case of dehydration, can increase the ADH level in the blood because of that osmoreceptor mechanism. Any situation of dehydration or loss of blood can increase plasma osmolarity and increase ADH. Then consumption of morphine or nicotine. Morphine or nicotine, they always increase the level of ADH. Okay? They increase the level of ADH. So whenever there is ADH, urine is very, very concentrated. So these are the factors that can produce a concentrated urine by increasing the amount of ADH level in the blood. Right? Now what are the conditions that decrease the level of ADH? Like just opposite, decreased plasma osmolarity. Decreased plasma osmolarity means urine is, the plasma blood is very, very diluted. Okay, so your normal blood volume is 5 liters. Now you have drank 2 liters of water. So blood volume will increase 7 liters. So the concentration will be diluted. So it will be very, very diluted. We call decreased plasma osmolarity. So when there is decreased plasma osmolarity, body will need to remove this excess amount of fluid. So immediately the ADH level goes down. Okay. So any condition that is leading to increased water consumption or increased blood volume or alcohol decreases the ADH level directly in the body. And a particular drug which you will study in pharmacology, that clonidine. Okay, this drug is used. This clonidine is the drug that is used for the treatment of hypertension. It is also used for treatment of attention deficit disorders and many other varieties. Okay, so this drug, this clonidine that is used, it is very commonly it is used for drug withdrawal syndrome. So this clonidine drug is a side effect that it can decrease the level of ADH. Now remember, whenever there is any situation that ADH level is decreased or deficient, the person will start producing lots and lots of diluted urine, and he can go in a state of dehydration by losing lots and lots of fluids. So these are the conditions that decrease the level of ADH. Okay. Now let's try to understand that any situation when there is decreased ADH. So we know if there is ADH decrease, what will happen? There will be lots of increased diluted urine. Increased diluted urine. So there is this condition is called diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus. Okay, so it comes as a short, no, diabetes insipidus. So what is diabetes insipidus? So diabetes insipidus is a condition of decreased ADH hormone and a condition of decreased ADH hormone resulting in increased production of dilute urine and thirst. So it is a condition of decreased ADH hormone as a result there is increased diluted urine, and increased thirst. You feel very, very thirsty. Thirst. Okay. So diabetes insipidus can be of two types. It can be because of the pituitary gland when there is ADH is decreased, or it can be because of some kidney problems when vasopressin is normal but receptors are not good, that they are not of good quality that can attach to the vasopressin. So when the problem is because of kidney, we call this nephrogenic, and when the problem is because of the pituitary gland, we call this central diabetes. So diabetes insipidus are of two types. One is called central diabetes insipidus. Okay. Another type is called nephrogenic. So central diabetes insipidus means when this pituitary gland is not producing enough vasopressin hormone. Due to some defect, due to some injury, when the pituitary gland is not producing enough vasopressin hormone or antidiuretic hormone, we call it the central diabetes insipidus. And when the pituitary gland is producing the normal amount of vasopressin hormone, but the kidneys, in the distal tubule, in the collecting duct, the receptors are not working. So as a result, even the ADH level in the blood is normal, but water cannot be reabsorbed because receptors are not working. When this V2 are defective, then we call nephrogenic. Means when the problem is because of kidneys and when the problem is in the brain because of pituitary gland. So in both cases, we call diabetes insipidus. So there is one more type of diabetes insipidus latestly it is included, is called dipsogenic. When due to just it is a psychological problem when a person just go on drinking water and water. Okay, they drink a lot of water, so it is called dipsogenic diabetes insipidus. To add to it, so dear students, to add to it, remember diabetes insipidus, though there is name of diabetes, it is not related to diabetes mellitus. So when we say diabetes mellitus, that is increased blood sugar, if you remember. Diabetes mellitus. That is totally different. We will study that thing in the endocrinology, diabetes. Okay, so what this is because of increased blood sugar. And this is because of decreased ADH, and they both are not related. They both are not related. So don't confuse. Diabetes insipidus is the production of plenty urine, diluted urine. Okay, and diabetes mellitus is increased blood sugar condition. We'll discuss that thing later. So treatment here is desmopressin. One word, desmopressin. So that is about diabetes insipidus. And that is about ADH. So one mechanism of concentration of urine is ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Is that clear?